The crew discuss what to expect in the sports card market this fall. Then they break down the $1.1 million Patrick Mahomes sale. Coming up right now on SCC.
Welcome to Sports Cards Culture, episode 33. I'm Chris_HOJ on Instagram. I'm here with Stiff Arm Wax, at Stiff Arm Wax on Instagram, Nick, Kristina, at Kristina's PC on Instagram, and Josh, at Cardboard_Chronicles on Instagram. All right, this year, fall, the season, lasts from September 22nd until December 21st. That means we're already 1 week into fall. So let's talk about what to expect in the sports card market this fall, as well as a few pumpkin spice lattes. Here's how I'd like to kick things off. I'd like for each of us to name something sports card related that we are looking forward to this fall. And Kristina, you go first.
Well, the NBA returns this fall, and I can't wait for that to happen to watch my PC players with my PC in front of me.
There you go. Okay, cards out, games on. Josh, what is something sports card related that you are looking forward to this fall?
I am thinking about starting up a couple new player PCs for basketball, which I haven't done, in a really long time outside of LeBron and Penny. So I'm in the research phase, which is my favorite part, and sort of the plotting mode. So hopefully that lasts me through the fall, and hopefully we can pick up some cool cards. It's been a while since I've picked up something really cool that I was excited about. So it's and they're both going to be active players playing now, starting this fall. So that'll be exciting.
Awesome. Okay, I assume you're not going to name the players.
Oh, I mean, no way.
Okay.
I need a few months to be able to find some stuff because I'm always worried that people are going to snatch up the rare stuff from under me.
No doubt. Okay, Kristina, what is something sports card related that you are not looking forward to this fall?
People who start pumping their rookie drafted.
You took my answer.
All right. Okay.
People who start pumping their favorite rookies when they have maybe one game under their belt.
Oh, so you don't look forward to hearing about Pokushevsky, the Pokemon, for the next 2 weeks until the Oklahoma City Thunder take the floor? Gotcha. All right, Josh, what is something sports card related that you are not looking forward to this fall?
I'll take it slightly different, but it's pretty much the same thing. I'm not looking forward to people telling me how amazing LaMelo Ball is, how Zion is going to be the next, LeBron and Jordan, and how Trae Young is, this is his breakout year, and this is MPJ's fourth breakout year. I guess it's more like that range of player versus like the super young rookies, because those guys won't even really have cards yet. There's not much to hype even on those really young NBA guys.
Oh,
rookies.
just wait.
I know it's coming, but like in the immediate future, I'm not looking forward to content creators, getting the LaMelo Ball train started early.
That wouldn't have been a good answer without a reference to Trae Young, I think is fair. Okay, around this time last year, things got pretty bearish in the sports card market. In between August 30th and October 25th of 2020, the Card Ladder 50 index dropped by 15%. In the stock market, a drop of 15% over the course of a 2-month period would in all likelihood be considered a crash. Josh, what can you tell us about the fall of 2020 and the state of the hobby at that time?
The fall of 2020 had a lot of uncertainty with COVID, and I think the prices had started to climb leading up to that. And then, people are maybe thinking it shouldn't have gone up that fast during COVID, and then it kind of corrected. And also, we were in the middle of the basketball playoffs at this time, I believe. I think the finals ended in like late October, if I'm correct on that. So the timing was really off in 2020. There was no fans in the stands. Like TV ratings were down. So there's a lot of and like a lot of new people were coming into the hobby trying to figure things out. So I hate to just like throw away 2020, but it was just like a very very odd year, lots of different things going on, and we're finally starting to settle into a little bit of normalcy on the scheduling side of things for the hobby. So it's interesting. We can learn a lot from this period, and we're going to dive into it more. But just kind of setting the table that there were a lot of odd things that happened around this time last year.
Yeah. What was the mood of the hobby in our community, Instagram, social media, local communities? What was the mood throughout October and November in particular last year?
There was a lot of prospecting going on at this time. The mood was that people were excited about the younger guys. There was a lot of like excitement around the Prism stuff. There was soccer this time last year, I believe. So the mood was like optimistic because a lot of people were just so new. And like, I just remember a lot of, people trying to figure things out. That's kind of remember about last year. And so there was a lot of like volatility and fluctuations on different players and different sets and stuff while people figured out like how rarity works and what a PSA 10 actually means. And we were going through PSA backlogs and stuff last year too. So I would say confusion is the word. There's just like people trying to figure stuff out.
No doubt. All right. I think one of the factors, and a big one, that causes short-term depressions in card prices, and it has at several different points over the last year or so, is when there's an unusually large quantity of high-stakes sports games that are on TV at the same time. And I think the reasoning for this is pretty straightforward. Americans have 5 hours of leisure time per day, according to a 2019 study by RAND.org. The average collector probably allocates around 1 to 2 hours per day to the hobby. Is that about right? Is that high? What do you think, Kristina? 1 to 2 hours per day on the hobby? The average
before 10 a.m.?
Yeah.
That's low.
I see a lot of people on Instagram throughout the day, even when they're quote unquote working, guys. So I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Okay. I mean, there are some people who only spend like a few hours a week on the hobby, right? Or no?
Yeah, are you really in the hobby if you're only spending 2 hours a day?
I guess not. Okay, good. I'm glad to err on the low side.
This show is 20 minutes at least, so that's like 20 minutes of your 2 hours a week. So
you're new to the hobby when you only spend 2 hours a day on it.
Okay, all right. Well, so maybe the average collector gives like 3 hours a day, maybe. Okay, and then they have the 5 hours of leisure time, 3 hours a day. You got 2 hours left over for dinner and seeing your family. That actually probably does sound about right. Okay.
You assume people work during the day.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is from 2019, pre-COVID, where
Correct.
people were not remote, and you didn't realize how little you actually did work during the workday. True. Okay. All right. Well, every fall there is this month-long period. Yeah.
During which the MLB playoffs, the middle of the NFL regular season, and the beginning of the NBA regular season, they all overlap. And these are all high-stakes, captivating moments in each respective league. Now, I think that when all three of these things are happening, collectors temporarily divert more of their leisure time than usual away from cards and towards watching these games. And that means that they temporarily spend less time shopping for cards, which means they temporarily spend less money on cards, which leads to a temporary decline in card prices. I've dubbed this period during which the three leagues overlap the hobby's Bermuda Triangle. It's a roughly month-long period where card prices just seem to disappear. In 2020...
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
In 2020... I did that just for you.
Ugh.
In 2020, the hobby Bermuda Triangle happened in between September 10th and October 11th. And I believe the effect was stronger in 2020 than it will be this year because, like Josh said, the NBA bubble season was actually concluding during this period of time rather than starting, and the conclusion is more captivating than the beginning. This year, the three sports leagues will overlap between October 5th and November 3rd, which is only a week away.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, to finish up this story, the Bermuda Triangle of 2020, following the Bermuda Triangle of 2020, the sports card market went on an unprecedented bull run. And currently, the Card Ladder 50 index is up 45% since the 2020 Bermuda Triangle. So first question is for
Before you get there,
Yes. I was there, but go on.
I know, like, we always talk about having, like, actual data to represent your facts and your conjectures. You have 1 year where it was COVID, where the bubble was in playoffs. Like, you've taken a time and you're making a statement and you're saying it's a causation, not a correlation.
Well, the way that you'll be able to separate a cause from a correlation is by proposing a prediction and using something that you're analyzing past data with to predict the future. So if the theory is predictive, which is the hallmark of science.
It's actually a hypothesis because it's not yet proven.
Okay, well, it's a backward-looking theory that
Okay.
generates a hypothesis.
Okay.
If the hypothesis is proven correct, that's an additional data point suggesting that there's something causally explanatory in the theory. But maybe it's not right. Maybe it's wrong. That's why in science, the hallmark of science is you make a prediction derived from a theory, and then you test it.
Yeah, you done mansplaining science to me?
And so 1 week from now,
Yeah.
the hypothesis generated from the theory will begin to be tested.
Yes.
And maybe the theory's good, maybe the theory's bad, and you throw it out. Kristina,
Yes.
what do you prefer, watching sports or collecting sports cards?
They're interconnected, but I prefer sports cards.
Okay, Josh, same to you. What do you prefer, watching sports or collecting cards?
I definitely would not be collecting cards without the sports, so I like to really stick to the basics and watch the sports themselves, and I like to learn from the sports. And I feel like the sports are what connects all of us in society to everything that we love about sports cards. And sports just have this like really, they're really woven into the fabric of our society today. They're like you said on a previous episode, they're like our modern day heroes, right? Like they're our modern day businessman. They're our modern day Marvel characters. And so we get to watch live drama of these sports games. So I'm going to stick to sports.
All right. And Nick, what do you prefer, watching sports or collecting sports cards? Break the tie.
I prefer watching my sports cards.
Okay.
And Chris, what do you prefer? Do you prefer watching sports or collecting sports cards?
4 or 5 years ago, I was very much in the collecting sports cards camp. But over the last 2 or 3 years, when I got much more involved with active player collecting, it's been close. It's been close. But I'll tell you this. I would rather be deprived of watching sports than be deprived of collecting cards.
Well, there you go. You answered the question.
But it's close.
Moving on.
It's tricky. Okay. Christina,
Yes.
do you find yourself spending less time buying sports cards when there are more sports on TV, such as when the Mavericks are about to be on 82 nights over the next few months?
I think I do, actually. Like, I think when the Mavs end their season, I'm definitely, like, missing that fix. So I'm going and I'm looking for Maxey and Luka cards more often. Just to like remember what they look like and like be like, oh yeah, that card that was with this game, or go over to Card Insights and find out the actual game or play that the card came from.
All right, same question to Josh. Do you find yourself spending less time buying cards when there are more sports to watch on TV?
I was trying to think of something clever, like a clever answer, but there's zero correlation to when I buy sports cards. It's all year. And it's just like whenever I have the funds, like whenever the money, it's more about my money flow and like where my money's going than when the sport. If I've got a good month where I didn't have any unforeseen expenses around the house or something, and I've got extra card money, that's when I'm going to start buying some cards. So it's really more about that.
And there are some people too who have told me that they buy cards more when sports are on, because during commercials and during the games, they have nothing else to do. They're just sitting there and they look at eBay or Marketplace. Okay, now, Kristina, you pointed out that maybe this theory, which gave way to a hypothesis that will be tested over the next month and a half to 2 months.
The other way around.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
A hypothesis is something that you first come up with. A theory doesn't come into existence until after the hypothesis has been tested multiple times. I was the one who actually studied hard science in undergrad. You studied...
Oh, are you women-splaining right now?
Yeah, I am.
Whether or not the idea of like sports distracting from buying is true, what is true is the fact that the market fell 15% last fall, and it lasted about 2 months. Josh, what are some other possible reasons for why the market dropped 15% last fall?
We usually see a drop late in the playoffs because, the outcomes have started to bear fruit, and we're starting to see which players are the ones that are coming out on top. And so, like, the prospecting piece of it has gone away, and a lot of what drives the volume buying and excitement over sports cards is the prospect of what's going to happen. And since it's already occurring, even like after the Super Bowl winner is determined, their prices of those players stay flat or go down even a little bit. And then not until, the prospect of them repeating the championship the year like later in that summer or after the season is when it starts to go back up. So and because of the bubble playoffs being around this time last year, I think that's a good reason for it. People had started to cool off on some of the prospects from earlier in the year, and we watched people in the bubble kind of flame out and have poor endings, so that has a lot to do with it. And I think, like you already said, though, I think there was just a lot of volatility last year, and with the massive run up leading up to that, with all the new people coming in from COVID and stuff, I think that we just kind of saw like a correction after it.
That is a lot of good hobby wisdom.
Was
there.
That a hypothesis or a hypothesis or a hypotenuse?
That was a hypotenuse. Okay, all right, Kristina.
Yes.
This year's Bermuda Triangle is 1 week away from beginning. Do you think that we will see another market decline this fall?
I'm thinking no, because you warned a lot of people and they're going to all be looking for cards dropping to buy.
The observer effect.
Yes.
Okay. Josh, do you think we will see a market decline this fall?
I think you will see less volatility than last year, so I don't think it'll go down as much. I do think that football will start to go down. Some of the outcomes are starting to occur. We're starting to figure out, who's going to be, what teams are going to matter towards the end of the year. We're starting to get some, people that were hyped up at the beginning of the season that aren't living up to expectations. We'll see football level out. We'll probably see basketball tick up a bit here, just because we're actually on the opposite spectrum of this time last year, where we're leading up to the prospecting and not going away from it. So I think we'll see basketball tick up, and we might just kind of see those two cancel each other out. So it'll probably, overall, I'd probably say up a little bit, because, basketball kind of dominates the news line more than football in the sports card world.
There you go. Okay. Another thing, fall is synonymous with football season. And a pretty incredible football sale happened about 2 weeks ago that rang in the 2021 NFL season in the hobby. The 2017 National Treasures rookie patch autograph hollow gold BGS 9.5 Patrick Mahomes sold for $1.1 million in PWCC's premier auction 2 weeks ago. And while that price is breathtaking, wait until you hear what this card previously sold for. This exact same copy, serial number 3 of 10, sold for $16,000 a little over 2.5 years ago in January of 2019. It increased in value by a factor of 67. This card netted its owner just shy of $1 million in profits, and all he had to do was enjoy the card for 33 months. Kristina, I believe the seller of this card recently contacted us to share his story. Is that true?
It is. The seller saw our all-time high post on Instagram and reached out to me saying that he was the owner of the card and he loved the graphic. And I thought he was just the seller of this card. But then he went on to tell me, no, he was the buyer in 2019
2019. January 2019. So
he was the buyer in 2019, and then he sent me the screenshot of the eBay sale.
So the card ladder graphic that reported on this sale was just a shrine to this guy, basically.
Yeah, and then he said that he already ordered a frame of the graphic, like a printout, so that he can put it up in his house.
Very cool.
So he still gets to enjoy the card.
An NFT of the card, perhaps. Josh, would you have sold that Mahomes going into this season?
If you're asking me as a collector, no. If you're asking me as an investor, yes, because I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make in the hobby is they fall into the trap of not taking profits and assuming that what's happened in the past is going to continue to happen. We see this over and over and over. People, something will 10x, in this case 67x, and they think, oh, it's going to 67x again. It's going to go to like 2 billion. And I think, it's possible, obviously, like stuff can continue to go up, but if you're going to make $1 million on something in 33 months, in what other world, what other investment vehicle that exists would you not take those profits? So as an investor, I would say, take some money off the table, reduce the risk. And worst case scenario, you take that money and you go invest it in different Mahomes cards or Brady or, whatever else you want to invest it in, reinvest it into different cards. So I definitely would never question someone for taking that much profit off the table. That's an insane return. 67x. That is unheard of in the world.
Well, you might be wondering, what was the status of Patrick Mahomes' career on January 1st, 2019? That was the date of the $16,000 sale.
I was totally just wondering that.
I know. And that date was 10 days after Brady and the Patriots knocked off the Chiefs in a closely contested AFC Championship game. You remember that game?
I do.
And it was 3 days before Mahomes, at the age of 23, would receive the MVP award. And what happened since that sale? Well, for starters, Mahomes has led the Chiefs to 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 victory. And coming into this season, Mahomes was named the number 1 player in the league by the NFL's Top 100 Players of 2021 series, which leads to an interesting empirical question. Kristina, would you like to define empirical for us as well? Or no? Okay. Given that the card has appreciated in value,
I'll define something for you.
Given that this card has appreciated in value roughly $1 million, how much of that growth is due to the star factor of Mahomes, and how much of that growth is due to the growth of the sports card industry? Because it's pretty clear that both have played a role. So one way to get to that answer is to establish a baseline for the growth of the sports card industry. In the Card Ladder 50 Index, which tracks the performance of 50 high-profile sports cards going back to 2004, that index grew by a factor of 4.26 over the last 33 months. It had a value of 4,162 in late January 2019, and it had a value of 17,716 on the date of the $1.1 million Mahomes sale. Well, as I've already mentioned, the Mahomes card appreciated by a factor of 67 since the sale. So this Mahomes card dramatically outpaced the CL50's growth. The Mahomes card ran circles around the CL50. So to answer the question using this approach, Mahomes' rising star has fueled the overwhelming majority of the growth of this card. And as an aside, Patrick Mahomes' total market index on Card Ladder is up 28x over the last 33 months. So the Mahomes National Treasures Gold, which is up 67x, has grown more than twice as much even as the Mahomes market as a whole. So I think the first question that comes to mind, Josh, why do you think that this Mahomes National Treasures Gold RPA performed so much better than the sports card market as a whole?
Well, I think it's, like you said, I think it's just all Mahomes. I think he's potentially the most exciting player to collect/invest in over the last year, because he already has some known to him where he's already won a Super Bowl, and he has so much ahead of him. I think he's only 25 or 26 still, so like he has this great combination of being extremely young. He's already accomplished so much. He's already considered the best player in the NFL, and he's just got this perfect combination of everything going on. He's the most exciting quarterback in the league. He does no-look passes. He's throwing insane deep bombs to win games. He's kind of got it all. He's very electric and exciting. And you always get this sense that, like, even when they're down by 21 in the fourth, you get the sense that he's going to lead some comeback. So, I mean, I think all of that, he's got a lot going for him as a sports card investment / player collector.
Now, like you pointed out, Mahomes very likely will continue to add to his legacy. Do you expect that his card market will outpace the CL50 as it has so far? Or do you think Mahomes cards will just match the CL50's growth? Will they lag behind the CL50? Will they even experience a correction? How do you think Mahomes' market going forward is going to relate to the CL50?
I kind of feel like it's due to lag a little bit here. Like, I know that he still has a lot of excitement in terms of prospecting going forward, but there reaches a certain point where it goes too far. Like, no matter who you are, no matter what athlete it is, there's nothing you can do to overcome this incredibly dramatic increase in prices. And so, it feels to me like his prices at this point, they've gone so insane. I'm looking at the index and it's just like straight up and right. It's just like it's an incredible rise. At a certain point, it looks like he's got 5 Super Bowls baked into his prices. Like, people are just expecting him to be Brady at this point. And Brady has 7 Super Bowl rings and Mahomes has 1. I don't think the index is like, 7x outperforming Mahomes for Brady. So it's just like the disparity should be a little bit larger. I think people are a little bit overly excited on Mahomes. That's just kind of my opinion on it. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to go up because he does have so much excitement, like I said, and people can just continue to fuel this fire that, like, he'll infinitely have this excitement towards him and infinitely go up and right. But eventually, like, something has to correct and he has to, disappoint at some point. I mean, there's also the idea that, like, they're paying him a ton of money and eventually they're not going to be able to afford other players to build out a competitive roster. This happened with Russell Wilson early in his career. He won a Super Bowl very early. That team was absolutely loaded. And then you've seen the Seahawks kind of flatten out over time. Not saying that Mahomes and Russell Wilson are exactly the same, but their career paths are kind of similar in that regard on the salary cap front. So just be a little bit aware. There's a lot of baked in future success into his current prices over the existing excitement. So if I had to guess, I would say it'll probably lag behind going forward a little bit.
Do you agree that Justin Herbert is better than Patrick Mahomes because you beat him in one game last weekend?
And that's a fact, right? It's just like, you're going to love this. I look at 1 week, I go back 1 week, and I've got evidence to prove that he's better. I only need the 1 week. I don't need to go back any further.
There you go. Okay, now, Kristina, what do you think about Patrick Mahomes as a market and as the collectors who collect him, and how that community that population is going to evolve over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
Look, everything Josh laid out is true. Like, that team is in trouble in the future unless he Brady's. Unless he starts giving up his salary for cap space, that team is in trouble. Josh is shit.
He already signed
he's already
the deal.
signed the 10-year contract. It's not like it's too late. He's already signed it.
Yeah, but can't he gift it back?
Yeah. He can restructure some of it.
Yeah, he can restructure it. Thank you. I didn't study econ. And don't get on my bad side. I studied forensic anthropology. I know how to dispose of you.
We will end this episode on a death threat. The first death threat to punctuate a Sports Cards Culture episode.
That's being cut out.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I need that as evidence one day. Okay. That will do it for Sports Cards Culture, episode 33. See you guys next week.
Thanks for watching. Tell us in the comment section below what the crew should cover next week, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time in SCC, Sports Cards Culture.